Hank was talking so fast the tugs couldn't understand a word he was saying. "A mermaid! A mermaid!" shouted Hank. "I saw a real, live, real mermaid!" The other tugs followed Hank as he led them to the shore where he had seen the mermaid. "She was waving to me," Hank was saying. "And I think she was singing, too." "Was she singing yo, yo, yo?" asked George. "Mermaids are supposed to be half human and half fish," said Theodore, who knew a little about mermaids. "Maybe she was living in the old shipwreck," said Emily, "and now she's looking for a new home." The tugs slowed down. They were getting near the shore. "Hank," said Theodore, "maybe you better go and see where she is." Hank set out for the shore, alone. His anchor was rattling just a little. He hoped his mermaid was friendly, but when he arrived at the place he had seen the mermaid, she was gone. The other tugs were just watching and waiting. Finally, they floated over. "She was right here," said Hank. "I saw her." "She probably went dancing with the ghost pirates," said George. "Hank, you're always telling stories," said Theodore, and he set off for home. The other tugs followed behind, leaving Hank staring at the spot where the mermaid had been. "Where did she go?" he said to himself. "I know I saw her." Finally, Hank turned for home as well. Then, he slowly turned back towards the shore. And there was the mermaid. "Hey, everybody!" shouted Hank to the tugs. "The mermaid! The mermaid came back!" But the tugs continued on their way, for no one believed Hank anymore. When Hank turned back to the mermaid, she was gone again. Now that was the strangest thing, he thought. He drifted along, saying to himself, "I know I saw her. I know I saw her." Just then, a quiet voice startled him. "Hello, Hank." But it wasn't a mermaid. It was Bonavista Barge. Hank had drifted all the way to the shipwreck site. "How do you like these old ship pieces?" said Bonavista. More pieces of the old shipwreck had been raised. They were sitting proudly on Bonavista's deck. "Great," said Hank, hardly glancing at the marvelous sight. "I'm still missing that important piece the storm blew overboard," said Bonavista. "It's a wooden statue that goes right up front. It's called a figurehead. It looks like a lady." Hank still wasn't paying attention. "What's the matter?" said Bonavista. "Oh, nothing," replied Hank. Bonavista called Hank's name again. She wanted to know if Hank had seen anything strange floating in the water. Hank gulped nervously and said, "Oh, just a mermaid, but no one believes me. Maybe I guess I make up a lot of things." "What did she look like?" asked the barge. "She had a red dress and green hair," said Hank. And much to his surprise, Bonavista wanted Hank to show her, and right away. "Oh, dear," said Hank to himself as he set off with Bonavista. He certainly hoped that mermaid was there this time. Soon they arrived at the place where Hank had seen the mermaid. "Sometimes she's there," said Hank. "Sometimes she..." "But mostly," said Hank softly, "she isn't." There was no mermaid to be seen this time. Hank began to turn around with Bonavista. "Stop!" called Bonavista suddenly. Hank stopped and slowly turned again toward the shore where Bonavista was looking. And there, floating just beneath the waves, a mermaid. "See, Bonavista, a mermaid!" shouted Hank. "I knew I saw her, a real live mermaid." Bonavista Barge smiled. She explained to Hank that what looked like the mermaid was really the old ship's figurehead, the carved wooden statue of a woman that she had been looking for. Sailing ships sometimes put them on their bows for good luck. And then Hank saw that her green hair was really seaweed. The tide was carrying the statue out to sea again. "That's why you can see her sometimes, and sometimes not," said Bonavista. "The tide was taking her in and out." Well, Hank was very disappointed. So it wasn't a real mermaid after all. "Now no one will ever believe me again," he said. But Bonavista had an idea. That afternoon, the tugs were gathered at the great ocean dock when they heard Hank's familiar toot-toot. They all turned around to see a wondrous sight. Hank was pulling Buena Vista barge with some of the old shipwreck, but the most incredible sight of all was right there on Hank's bow. "A mermaid," shouted Photo. "In a red dress," said Emily. "With green hair," added George. "Hank was right all along," said Theodore. The tugboats formed a grand parade behind Hank and the Mermaid as they made their way into the harbor, tooting their horns all the while. And what a sight that was. And they all heard Hank singing, "Yo, yo, yo." Well, the tugs certainly were surprised to see Hank with that mermaid, but not nearly as surprised as the time he told them about riding a giant flying fish. He said that he caught it with his anchor. It's like a giant lasso, and that he was going to bring it in and put it in a corral, and that... Well, that does sound like a fishy story for another time. Thanks for visiting here in the Big Harbor. We'll see you all again next time. Oh, be sure to keep a sharp lookout if you're out to sea, or even if you're walking down the street. Because you never know. You never know. So
Theodore, he's a tugboat and a friendly tugboat. A friendly tugboat. Oh, Theodore likes to do the things that friendly tugboats do. Pushing and a pulling in the great big harbor, in the great big world, there's so much fun. So many brand new things to discover. Waking with the sun, gotta get the job done. Oh, Theodore and Emily, Oda, Hank and George, and the harbor master too.